Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to Talking Reds. It is a Sunday night. I hope you all have had a great weekend and I hope you've all been kept updated with the Liverpool news. Obviously, tonight is back onto the main news, back onto the latest Liverpool news and transfer news. And as always on Talking Reds, if you are joining us in the chat, let me know your thoughts on transfer news. Let me know your thoughts on the Liverpool news as well in the chat. And congratulations, well, to Harvey Elliott, João Quansah, and Tyler Morton for their brilliant success with the England 21s, winning it back-to-back. Incredible moment, Harvey Elliott, especially throughout the tournament with the player of the tournament. It was absolutely incredible. And again, with Harvey Elliott, it's a shame that he is probably going, but certainly we should be able to recoup some good money for him. But yeah, he's an incredible player. And Tyler Morton, what an assist that was, by the way, for the winning goal. And João Quansah was an absolute rock in the game as well. So yeah, congratulations to those three for winning the Under-21 championships. It was brilliant win for them three specifically. So yeah, let's get into the news. And Marc Guehi news tonight, guys. Darwin Nunez, and also a little bit on Jorrel Hato, and also a little bit on trying to think who it was now. Yeah, Alexander Isak. I don't know if you know him. I don't know if anyone else knows him, but yeah, Alexander Isak. Just a tiny little bit of news on him as well. So let's get started then with the main guy himself, Marc Guehi, the one that is probably likely, if I'm honest, and I've said this for a couple of streams now, I think he's the most likely candidate to be the next signing for Liverpool. But we're hitting problems, and we're hitting problems with him and Darwin Nunez, and that is the fact that Crystal Palace have put a big price tag on Marc Guehi, one that Liverpool aren't willing to pay, according to reports. The same with Darwin Nunez. Liverpool have still put a big price tag on Darwin Nunez, something of a price tag that Napoli aren't willing to pay. So it is very, very interesting to see what happens, who stands firm, who is willing to negotiate a little bit and come down on their contract, on their price offers. Is it going to be Liverpool regarding Nunez, and is it going to be Crystal Palace regarding Marc Guehi? So yesterday, Andy Dunn from the Mirror spoke about Marc Guehi, saying Liverpool are now in prime position to talk Marc Guehi, and talks between all parties will take place in the next 24 hours. This was yesterday, so nothing has been said in terms of those talks. So Palace were holding out for £40 million, according to Andy Dunn. So I want to shout out to you to Dave O'Cop as well. So Dave O'Cop was the first person to pretty much report on Marc Guehi and Liverpool closing in on a deal for Marc Guehi potentially and making contact with Palace. So shout out to Dave O'Cop for that. But it's all coming out now again today. I think that was a couple of days ago, but Dave O'Cop reported, I think like Thursday, Friday. But it's all coming out in the last 24 hours where Andy Dunn from the Mirror, Sammy Mogpel from BBC said Liverpool hold genuine interest in Crystal Palace captain Marc Guehi, and this summer are prepared to make a move. So it's all coming out about Marc Guehi regarding the reports. I'm just going to get something else about some. So he also said as well, Sammy Mogpel, if Palace value Guehi at a price of Premier League champions deemed fair, Liverpool enter discussions at the figure of Londoners don't perceive as lowballing, then they open the door towards a successful and a negotiation. So basically, Palace don't want Liverpool to lowball in their eyes of lowballing. And like I said, £40 million is what is being asked for. 45 to 50 million pounds according to Ben Jacobs. They don't have any plans of moving off that. Liverpool don't really want to pay that because, as we've said the other night, Marc Guehi is free next summer. His contract runs out next summer. So how much are Liverpool willing to pay to get their man this summer? And the question I ask you, chat, is would you pay 45 million for a player that is free next summer? Bearing in mind, it's a position we absolutely need, especially João Quansah now pretty much joining Bayer Leverkusen this week. I think he's set for his medical tomorrow. So João Quansah will be joining Bayer Leverkusen this week. So we need a centre-back in. I can't, again, like we did in 2021, go into a season with three centre-backs, two of them injured. I can't do that. And for me, is that £40 million worth it? £45 million worth it for Guehi? I think it could be. And one thing that is a big factor in all of it regarding Guehi is playing time. And one thing I will say about playing time, as if you've watched our stream last night, there's many ways and many formations and many tactics that Arne Slot can get his players involved into minutes. And one of those was a 3-5. I did like a 3-4-3, didn't I? I did a 3-4-3 last night where Guehi, Kanate, and Van Dijk could play as a central three. And then obviously Frimpong and Kirkes out wide with two centre midfielders and Salah and Wirtz is inside behind the striker. I think that's a situation that we could see this season. I think with the way Slot's going, the way he's buying, the way the players that he's looking at, I think he wants many ways of winning games, many ways of setting up, many ways of breaking teams down tactically. Not just a 4-3-3, not just a 4-2-3-1. Different ways of playing. And I think Marc Guehi comes into that. And I think he will get, for me, in my opinion, I think he will get enough minutes. And again, Kanate, we don't know what's going on with that situation either. So it's certainly a position to be won by Guehi there. If Kanate stays and Guehi comes in, I think that's perfect. Fight out for the spot, or Guehi can cover Van Dijk if he needs a rest as well. I mean, Guehi does usually play on the left anyway. So I think he's a brilliant. I think he would be a brilliant addition, and I think he would get the minutes personally. Ray McCoy just don't like Elliot, does he? He needs to go. He says he's unbelievable as Elliot. And he might not make it to Liverpool, but I think he'll make it somewhere. Nunez, you'll never walk alone, lad, says Kevin. Hi, thoughts on Guehi? Price of £40 million was fair, and Nunez price will have to be lowered, I think, for the move. I think exactly the same, John. I do think the exact same. I think £40 million for me for Guehi. Well, the current one by Ben Jacobs is 45 to 50 million, but I'm sure it's been 40 million. That's been the reported fee usually over the last couple of weeks or so. We'd have to move quickly, said Jen, on this and get things sorted with the players leaving. 40 would be fair price, said Jen as well. Tony said 40 million for Guehi. We need a centre back now. Quanta is stepping. Exactly my thoughts, Tony. Exactly my thoughts. I thought £40 million for a player that's guided his club and guided his team to a trophy win for the first time in their lives. He's got the leadership. He's still young. He's great on the ball. He's got Premier League experience. £40 million is a good price for me, especially when you're selling Quanta for 30, just over £30 million. It's pretty much what £10 million for Guehi. I think that's an absolute steal for me. And to give that, like I said, give that competition to Kanate, give that competition to Van Dijk, and the rest of Van Dijk, I think is a perfect thing. And I also think it would work as a back three if Slot goes to a back three at some point. And I think I could see that happening. I think he'll start off with, obviously, 4-2-3-1. That's the idea of Slot. But like I said, Slot likes changing things up. He likes to change things around, not just game by game, but in game as well. And there's always that option there. If Guehi's on the bench, there's always that option to go free at the back and go really attack and allow Salah and Wirtz to do their thing as two number 10s. One player was also mentioned by Ben Jacobs as well, was Jorrel Hato, obviously of Ajax. There is appreciation of Jorrel Hato if Guehi isn't got this season, if he hasn't got this summer, which for me, I think Hato's a very good player. He could play also left centre back and left back. But what I worry about that is versatility in terms of giving Kanate competition. I've not seen him at that side of the pitch. I know Guehi plays on left as well, but I think he's a bit more versatile is Guehi across the back, in both centre back positions for me. So for me, Guehi should be number one, and I can see it happening. But again, are Liverpool going to pay 45 to 50 million, which is the reported fee now for Guehi? Crystal Palace may have to just say, look, just take a few million off, and then they might let him go, or they're going to let him go for free next season. Liverpool in a very, very powerful position with Marc Guehi. It's quite a similar position to what Trent, Real Madrid were in with Trent, really. And Real Madrid held all the cards. They held all the cards. It was like we had Trent loan for a season and he went to Real Madrid. That's what it felt like. There's also another report about Marc Guehi as well. Nicola Shira, also a sports journalist. Not too reliable, but I've seen him get a few things in the right path. So this is what he said about Marc Guehi as well. Positive talks between Marc Guehi, his agents, and Liverpool. Guehi has given his availability to join the Reds for a contract until 2020-30. Liverpool are working on reaching an agreement with Crystal Palace. One thing I will say, though, I don't think the personal terms will ever be an issue with Guehi and Liverpool. There was a report the other day saying that he'd be happy to leave, and I don't think Palace would fully stand in the way, but you can understand why Palace have put a price on him the way they have. Is their captain. He's one of their main players. Has been a key part to them being successful last season. He's been a key part to them being a team to watch out for. Guehi, they built on Guehi, and to lose a captain like that and such an integral piece of what they're building and what they have built, then they've got every right to put a price on him that they feel justified. And I think 40 to 45 million is probably about right with a year left on his contract, if I'm honest. Just for how important this guy is for Palace, for me. If FSG wants to win more things, they have the squad and the best additions to the squad. Adding Wirtz, Kirkes and Frimpong has been brilliant, but we cannot stop there. Exactly, Jen. That's what I want to do, because if it's only now, right, guys, in chat, if it's only Wirtz, Frimpong and Kirkes, I don't think that's good enough. I think we left ourselves short. I think we need at least two more. I want three, because I want a DM to fight Graham Birch. Not in a boxing fight or anything like that, but just to fight for his place. But I do want at least two. At least. We definitely need a centre back and a striker for me. And it's not so solid crew. We've got 21 trophies, so we've got 21 trophies to go. And the clock and the slot machine goes on, and probably on and on and on. You're never welcome, and to you and your family. Thank you, Kevin. Hope you are well on this Sunday evening. I hope everyone's had a good weekend. Absolutely love a Sunday. I've had my Sunday dinner. I'm absolutely. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm going into this as full as I can ever be. We also have to act on Konate situation ASAP. Also, Robert hopefully stays and works with Kirkes. I hope that is the case. I hope Robert is the one to stay in the end, and the one that does work with Kirkes for me. If Konate exits, then after Kwanzaa, then quibbling over pennies for Guehi would be a fatal mistake by Richard Hughes, similar to what happened when we saw Lovren without replacement, said red goals. Exactly my point. We cannot do the same again. We've got to learn from our mistakes. And this squabbling over a few, I know it doesn't sound like pennies, like 5 million or something like that, but it is pennies to a club like Liverpool. It is pennies in this sort of industry. It's like maybe going to a shop and not paying an extra 50p for us. In my case, an extra 50p. But yeah, I just think if you want Guehi, and again, like you said, if Kwanzaa's going, and if Konate goes, I think it's an absolute must. I think that turns into a need into a must. I think we need Guehi, or we need a centre back. And if Konate goes, it's a must. It's a must. Because what we've got, Gomez and Van Dijk. That can't happen. That can't happen. And I'm already not happy if Kwanzaa goes and we don't bring a centre back in anyway. I think we will. I think we will, and I think it will be Guehi. The way the reports are going, because it's looking very, very likely that we will be signing him. It's just like I said. It's just depending on whether Liverpool either pay up or Crystal Palace lower the transfer fee a little bit. But yeah, like I said, a year less on the contract, so it's hard to say, yeah, you got to pay that sort of amount of money. But again, you've got to realise how important he is for Crystal Palace and what kind of integral piece he is part of Crystal Palace. So, for them to put that sort of price on him is quite valid for me. I think £40 million will do it. If Liverpool were willing to pay that, I think £40 million will probably do it. Maybe 35 and plus 5 million add-on, something like that for me. But yeah, another player that is potentially going or potentially leaving his club is Darwin Nunez. But again, the issue with Darwin Nunez, much like Marc Guehi with Palace, is Liverpool have put a huge price tag on him. Napoli don't want to pay. And when we're talking about Marc Guehi and the integralness and how important he is for Palace, and how I then look at Palace and say, you have every right to put that price tag on him, I think the total opposite on what we've put on Darwin Nunez. Darwin Nunez is not an integral part of us. Yes, we paid a lot of money for him, and yes, you'd probably want as much money as you can back from him. But the reality is, at the moment, he's not good enough for the price tag we've put up for him, for me. So, according to Fabrizio Romano, Napoli had direct contacts with Liverpool for Nunez, and these contacts have yet not come close to reaching an agreement on the figures. Liverpool demand remain between 65 to 70 million euros minimum starting price. 65 to 70 million euros. The deal is not close. It requires slow and steady progress. Right. So what Fabrizio Romano there is saying is that we are not willing to go below 65 million euros. That, for me, I think if we're asking Palace to put down a little bit of money for probably one of the most important players they've got, their captain, then I don't think how we can stand there and say, right, you're paying £55 million and no less for Darwin Nunez after what we've seen Darwin Nunez do for us. And I get it that we paid £75 million for him, really, including the add-ons that we got for him. I get it. We want as much back from him, but I think we just got to bite the bullet with Darwin Nunez, accept a loss. It's going to be a loss regardless on him. We got with the money side of things, and just get rid of him. Otherwise, you're stuck with a player that simply ain't good enough. Slot doesn't want again, and probably has an attitude problem now because we try selling him. So it is frustrating. Like Jane said there, we need to move him on. And when we're asking for £55 million from him, is Darwin Nunez worth £55 million after the 3 seasons out at Liverpool? The simple answer is no. It's no. It really isn't. He's not a £55 million player. And I can understand why Napoli weren't willing to pay £55 million. They could probably get a better striker than that. I think they'd rather Scott McTominay up front the season he's had. £55 million. There needs to be there now. Liverpool, but then again, they're saying their minimum starting price. It doesn't seem they're going to budge on that. But then again, having thought about it just then a minute, Hughes and Edwards, they always pull out masterclasses in terms of sales as well as buys, and they always seem to get good money for players. So I can understand why they would be a little bit stubborn on the price of Nunez, because knowing what Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes can do, they could get 55 million for Nunez. This is how good they are at doing the job, especially Michael Edwards. It wouldn't surprise me if they got 55 million for Darwin Nunez. But I think if Napoli are willing to pay, I don't think any Saudi clubs are coming in at the moment. Not been any. There's been also talk about Al Nassr wanting him possibly, or Al Ittihad I think was reported to be wanting, but nothing has come really about that. I think it's been mainly regarding Darwin Nunez is Napoli. Atletico Madrid fancied him, but again, they're not willing to let Alvarez go, and they're certainly not going to pay that sort of money anyway. We're not going to get 65 million euros for Nunez. Just take 40 and let him go. For me, 55 million pounds, I would go down to about 45, 50. 45. I would go back. I think if we're putting him on 55 million pounds, I think we could take 10 million less. And I think we should take 10 million less. And if they do offer 45 million pounds, then I think we've got to let him go for me. And I know we've seen it before how stubborn Edwards and Hughes are, and they usually get it done. They usually get it right. And with Wirtz, we want budging past whatever. We're going nowhere near. This is what I'm saying. It's a bit hypocritical when we're asking Wirtz. We're asking Bayer Leverkusen to drop some money off for Wirtz. They did in the end. We're asking Crystal Palace to drop some money off for Marc Guehi. Hopefully, they do in the end. We asked Bournemouth to drop their asking price down. They did it in the end. Now we need to start taking a playbook. We need to start taking a bit of a playbook, a playing from our playbook, and what we expect of other clubs. We've got to, if we want to sell our player, we've got to take a little bit of price off. We can't expect other people, other clubs taking money off their players and not do it ourselves when we're pushing them to do it. Otherwise, it does become hypocritical. I understand putting a price tag on him and that, but I think negotiations need to happen between now Liverpool and Napoli. And if Napoli are really willing to buy him, they're really willing to get him, the personal terms is agreed between Napoli and Nunez. It seems like that both are happy, both camps are happy. Napoli want Nunez wants Napoli. Then I think there's no better for us to do than lower that price a little bit. Just the way we expected Leverkusen to do it, just the way we expected Bournemouth to do it, and just the way we expect now Crystal Palace do it for Guehi. We've got to take some money off of it for me. If they're not willing to pay £55 million, and I understand that, then we've got to do everything we can to just cut ties. Simple like that. If you want a player gone, then you've got to not accept absolutely ridiculous. Don't accept £10 million on a packet of Watsits. I get it, but £10 million off £55 million, 45 or to £50 million, take it. You've got to take it. Big up Dave and Jen in the chat and all. Please hit those likes. People cost you nothing, but really does help. One small gesture to hit that button and helps your channel more than you can imagine. DB is absolutely spot on there. Just one little click of the like button, it goes a long way. It really does. It helps us grow massively. And I do try to be as consistent as I can on this channel. I want to be here every single night. I want to create more content for you guys. I want to have morning shows. I want to do different kind of shows as well and do different kind of content for you guys, entertaining content. But I can only do that when the bigger I grow. And just hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel helps out absolutely massively. And thank you everyone that absolutely does. Thank you so much, guys. I don't think Nunez wants to play it in Saudi Arabia. I don't think he does either from what I've seen. Not going to lie, Nunez out is better than turning down an offer, but still has to be reasonable. Liverpool can't give away players, but no team gives us players. Exactly, Mark. I think you're spot on there. I don't think £45 million to £50 million is unreasonable. It's got to be reasonable, like you said. It's not £10 million on a packet of Watsits for him, but we've still got to, take a little bit of money off if we want to get him out, basically. I'm going to Liverpool Town Centre to get some food. I'm in temporary housing, lost everything. Like a lot of people I've met on the journey. I'm so sorry, Kevin. You're going to Liverpool Town to get some food. I'm so sorry, Kevin, that you're going through that. I mean, if you ever need anyone to reach out to or anything like that, I'm always reaching out to people that are struggling and things like that. I struggle myself with whatever goes on at home financially and things like that, and I hate it. And I hate people going through what they go through. And if, like I said, I'm hoping this is a place for you to come in, Kevin, and speak and talk about things, whatever you want to talk about. And I'm actually doing hopefully a challenge for mental health charity as well in a couple of months' time, hopefully. So I'll let you know more about that. And I want people to speak. I love people speaking and talking about football, and it's a place to. I want it to be a place for you guys to come in and speak about your favorite team, talk about the transfers, talk about football in general, and just have a good time and just really enjoy, and a place to enjoy yourselves and get on with everyone in the chat as well. DB, let's get into it. Italian teams don't have new money. The money Premier League teams have yet. I mean, it's like I said, we're asking a lot for Darwin Nunez, but I think Napoli will pay at some point, but it depends if we drop the money off. You're 100% said, Paulo. I mean, thank you so much, Paulo. No matter what happens, we don't want to be in a situation next season with Nunez, with Liverpool striker. Yeah, let Nunez go for £45 million, move on, said Paulo Mint. I think with the Nunez situation, like I said, I just think we need to knock some money off. And if we do, I think Napoli do pay it in the end. I do think Napoli do pay it in the end. I saw something about Isak as well earlier on, but I don't know where it's gone. In fact, the Isak news has actually died down a little bit, but I think it will. I think it'll come more about now in July. I think we'll see more about it in July. I think we're probably waiting for the talks between Newcastle and Isak, also the contract talks, hoping that the contract talks do hit a wall or break down, something like that. Like I said, if there's a glimmer of hope for Alexander Isak, then I think we jump at it. I do. I think we jump at it. It'd be very interesting to see what happens between the talks between Newcastle and Isak. I think that's what Liverpool are probably waiting for. But there's no rush. There's still another 2 months of transfers, and still another 2 months of the transfer window. It does shut on September the 1st, so there's still plenty of time. There's still no rush regarding Alexander Isak. So I think it is a waiting game with that, and see what happens with Newcastle and Isak as well. Do you think we'll get Isak for he may maybe to put a transfer request in? I doubt he will. I think he needs to push it. Maybe it's hard, isn't it? I don't think he will. I don't think he will put a transfer request in because I think he probably has a lot of respect for Newcastle. Newcastle's put him into a different realm of where he is in football. So I think he probably has a lot of respect for Newcastle. So to put a transfer request in is quite disrespectful sometimes. What I think he could do is maybe speak to Newcastle and say, look, if Liverpool do come in, I don't agree with these wages, but if Liverpool do come in, is there any chance you do let me go? I think Newcastle could probably put the foot down, if I'm honest. And this is why it's been reported, like Romano and other reporters are saying, it's a difficult deal to do. It is because unless Isak does push it, it might not be available to do. Newcastle can always reject everything that comes to them. Unless Isak pushes it out. But again, how far does he push it? Does he put a transfer request in, which could be seen as disrespectful? I don't know. It's a tricky one, isn't it? It really is a tricky one with Alexander Isak. But like I said, it's still 2 months of the transfer window left. We've still got plenty of time to look at it, and I think that's what we're going to do. We'll just sit back and maybe look at it, concentrate on the sales, get the sales done, maybe bring Marc Guehi in, and then go back to Alexander Isak if that's possible. That's what we should do. I was trying to bring up something about Luis Diaz as well. Luis Diaz, according to Ocas Sports, which is an outlet, I think it's in Saudi Arabia, actually. I think it's a Saudi Arabian outlet. So Al Nassr plans to sign Luis Diaz for £85 million. I don't know how reliable they are, but it is a report that's been reported. £85 million for Luis Diaz is certainly a big, big price. And I think if someone came in with that sort of money, if it would be Al Nassr or someone else, I think Liverpool will accept. If Al Nassr came in with £85 million, I think we'd accept. I do. I think it's a big price for a player that is inconsistent, if I'm honest. That isn't probably first team over Cody Gakpo, and he's going into the latter stage of his career now. I think we accept that. I do. Whether or not Al Nassr do put up that sort of money, and whether or not this is the question, then does Luis Diaz want to play in Saudi Arabia? We don't know. What other options has he got? If he is going to leave Liverpool and he's fallen out with Liverpool, and the bond can't fix again, the communications broken down between Liverpool and Diaz and his entourage, then where else is Diaz going to go? I mean, Bayern Munich are looking at a few players. Bayern Munich could possibly get him. But are they going to put up £85 million, what Al Nassr would put up? That's the question on that. Are Barcelona going to go in? No. They're concentrating on Nico Williams, and once they get him over the line, I don't think they'll look anywhere else. Who is Diaz going to go to? PSG don't need a winger. The only real place, and I don't think it got to another Premier League club, the only real place is Saudi Arabia. And Al Nassr have been admirers him for a long time. Al Nassr could do us a big favour. They could get us Diaz and Nunez in a good double swoop, but I don't think they'll do that. But yeah, it's an interesting one, Luis Diaz. I think it's always, everyone's got the price. I've said that all the time. Everyone has got their price. And like I said, if someone bids £85 million for Al Nassr, for not Al Nassr, it's a bit cheap buy for Al Nassr, buying Al Nassr for £85 million. If someone bids £85 million for Luis Diaz, then it'd be very, very hard for Liverpool to go, hang on a second, we want more. I think they'd accept it. But then they'd have to obviously check with Luis Diaz if he wants to go play in Saudi. It's up to him. It is up to him. I do think Nunez will go. I don't know with Diaz. Does he go this summer though? 2 years left on the contract, broken down the contract talks, not happy about it, according to reports. Does he go this summer? Let me know in chat, guys. What do you think? Does Luis Diaz, is he a potential leaver this summer? And then what do Liverpool do then after that? Also, Malik Fofana could be cheaper now with Lyon being relegated. Rio's coming through anyway. I'd love to see Rio a bit more this season. But Luis Diaz going it's probably a conundrum. It's probably something to work out that we don't need to be focusing on. I don't think anyone expected Luis Diaz to go this summer. I don't think anyone expects Konate to go this summer. But these two situations, we've spoken about it before, these two situations could come about. Luis Diaz and Konate could potentially go this summer. And that would be two situations we didn't want to happen. We're already addressing like a striker. We already need to address a centre back already. That's without Konate going. We don't want to have to address the left wing as well. We don't want too many changes, having just won the league. Too many changes, especially to the starting 11, can make a big impact on going backwards. And we don't want that. We don't want to gel the team together. We want Konate to stay, and hopefully Luis Diaz stays as well. But again, he's got to look after himself, hasn't he? He's got to look after himself as well. If he's one of the worst wages in the squad, then he's got to look after himself. 50-50 said Malcolm about Diaz. No strikers have moved. Ekatike, Gyökeres and all. This shows that they're lower in the hands of Liverpool's choices. I think that indicates Isak, then Alvarez are our top striker choices. I think regarding Liverpool's top striker choice, I think it is probably Isak's number one, and the number two is probably Ekatike. I think it's because it's a similar profile to Isak. He's not as good as Isak, but the way they play Ekatike is quite similar to Isak. I think that's why they're probably number two over like a Gyökeres or an Alvarez, because they're quite different strikers. Alvarez is more like a forward he could play anyway, kind of across the front. I think I'd take Alvarez. I think after Isak, I think Alvarez is probably the next best one for me. Then like a Gyökeres or an Osimhen. Jen wants Osimhen, as she said there, but I think Ekatike and me, he won't be my number two. I think he's Liverpool's number two because of the profile of player. Kevin said, that's nice of you, lad. Thank you. You'll never walk alone to you and your family and friends and fans of your podcast. Nice one, lad. Thanks. Absolutely pleasure, Kevin. I hope whatever you're going through, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. But what I also hope is we can be a place that you can talk to people and you can reach out and you can talk to people in the chat. You talk to me. I'm always open to anyone talking about whatever they need to talk about, whether it be football, whether it be anything. I've been through mental struggles myself, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I want to do what I want to raise money for mental health charities, and I've reached out to them, and I want to do it because I want people to be open and talk about it as well. I want people to know that people are out there to help them, and that's why I'm doing the challenge that I'm going to be doing. But I will let you know more about the challenge when I do get closer to doing it. I just need to get a few things first before I can do it. But yeah, I'll let you know more about that, and hopefully it is something special where we can get people talking about things. Let's hit the like button, please, says Kevin. Comments, keep them coming, and you'll never walk onto your horse. Chat. Stay cool in the pool. I love that. I love that sentence you just said there. John Duran on loan would have been a good idea, as other strikers are improving in the Premier League other than Isak and Alvarez. I'm surprised no one's looking at John Duran, you know. Is it Fenerbahce that are looking John Duran? I think it's Mourinho wants him, doesn't he? I'm very surprised no one's looked at John Duran because I thought it was absolutely sensational at Villa. Absolutely sensational at Villa. Let's look at something there. 1 second. Oh, I think David Kopp's just done an opinion piece on Alexander Isak. He said why Liverpool turned down the chance to sign. Oh, right, yeah. Because we had the chance to sign Alexander Isak before, didn't we? And funny thing is, I messaged David Kopp because we've been talking about players that were being linked to before. So we just bought that keeper, but we were linked to him like 6-7 years ago. Is it Woodburn? I can't think of his name. What's it? That was that new keeper's name that we just bought. It could be third keeper. No, is it third keeper or fourth keeper or something? But we've been interested in him for like 6-7 years. And there's another player as well that we've been interested. Oh, that was it. Wirtz. Wirtz we were interested in quite a while ago. 2021, I wrote an article about Florian Wirtz. And that's it. Woodman we've just bought. And Isak, we've been linked with him before as well. We've had interest in him for a long, long time. But regarding Wirtz, I think we spoke to his parents back in 2021. I wrote an article about it for LFC Transfer Room. That we spoke to his parents. We had contact with his parents so that's 4 years ago. So we've clearly kept those contacts with his parents. Especially Edwards, who were here before, he's clearly kept those relationships going. And I think we've been the same with Isak. We've certainly reached out to Isak before. We didn't go for him. I think Man United were looking like they were going to go for him as well. when he was at Sociedad. It looked like he was going to go to Man United at one point. But as long as those relationships don't break down, that contact's always there. I think there's always the possibility to go back again for these sort of players. So I think, Wirtz is an absolute proof for that. And Woodman was interested 6-7 years ago. None of the key players, said Malcolm, have left Liverpool, so I'm not concerned. How many changes can we make, especially if they are upgrades? It is, I think it's not key players leaving, but Konate for me is probably a key player. I think it's just the changes to the first team that's tricky. Diaz, Konate. If you ask me which one you keep out, Konate, Diaz, it's an easy one for me. It's Konate. You've got to keep Konate. He's our main centre back alongside Van Dijk. I think he could be here for the next 6-7 years at least. I think he could be the main centre back when Van Dijk goes as well. So Diaz, I've always been consistent on Diaz. If he goes, as long as he gets replaced properly, I'm happy. If he stays, I'm happy. It's one of them. But Konate, if he goes, I won't be happy. I asked you a question, why are Liverpool waiting for the sign striker? We need to sell or buy. They're confident they will get their top target. Badger, there is no rush though, mate. There is no rush for regarding a striker. As long as we do get one for me, and a decent one, I don't think there's any rush in getting a striker. We have just got 3 transfers over the line, and we do need to sell some players as well. You got to remember as well, regarding the sales, we've got to recoup some money back as well. And not only that, the wages. We've got to think about the wages. The PSR, is it the PSF financial ruling? That restarts again in July. I think it's July the 1st, the PSR situation. It's a bit like the financial years restarts every April. The PSR one starts in every July, I think it's July the 1st. So that restarts. So there you can go out. That's why Man United are waiting around with Mbeumo, so they don't break PSR rulings. So I think a lot of clubs are waiting for that, potentially, which is interesting. And I think regarding Isak as well and striker, in July, that's when the talks will happen between Newcastle and Isak over a new contract. And that's where Liverpool just sit there and wait. They'll wait for Isak. Isak's their number one. They don't mind waiting for him. And if that contract talks break down, then they'll jump in. I think they'll jump in for Isak. If they don't, I think they'll move on and look at someone else, or maybe look at Isak next year, because there was a report the other day saying by Paul Joyce saying they're not just going to get any striker. Can we go a season without a striker? I think it's obviously Jota's there. I think it's a dangerous game. But if you look at last night's stream, we talked about formations and tactics, how Arne Slot's good to play. I also did a couple of formations there without bringing a striker in. And there is ways around it, but I don't like it. But I can accept it if we do enough elsewhere. And if we're definitely going to get Isak next. If we don't get a striker this season, we've got to get Isak next season. We've got to. I'm not waiting a year for a striker and not getting Isak. Otherwise, it's going to turn into this where Fabinho left at CDM and we haven't replaced him since as a DM. I don't want to be that situation again. And striker is very, very important, especially when Salah is got 2 years left. When Salah goes, we need some goals from somewhere else. And the thing is with this as well, we don't want to waste Salah. People forget that, if Salah and Van Dijk are staying 2 more years, I think Van Dijk might sign a little bit longer, but we don't want to waste their 2 years here. We want to go again and win again. Question said Polo Damon, and will Diaz be willing to go south to Saudi? He wanted Barca. That's another tricky one, isn't it? I mean, it's all right accepting a bid from Saudi Arabia and Al Nassr. Then it's up to Diaz whether he wants to go or not. But again, then you ask Diaz if he has broken down with Liverpool, if the communications has broken down, if the relationship has broken down, where else can he go? Bayern Munich aren't going to come in. Barcelona are going to come in now. If he doesn't want to play for Liverpool and he feels like he has to go, then Saudi Arabia may be the only option. And, I think someone said the other night, was it Real McCoy that said the other night in the chat saying, no, it'll ruin his World Cup year, it'll ruin his potentially playing for his country. I don't think it ever will. I don't think Luis Diaz going to Saudi Arabia would ever ruin his Colombian place. He's probably the best player for Colombia, so I don't think it'd ever ruin it for me. And I think, like I said, I've said it before, Saudi Arabian League, I think that's getting bigger and bigger. I think the States is getting bigger. I think the football's getting a little bit better. I think at some point it will grow into one of the biggest leagues in the world. So why? No, I don't think it's a bad place to go for a player, but it's up to whoever the player wants to do that. Kevin, thank you so much, mate. You're helping me, and I hope a lot of people see you all later. And the club and the slot machine goes on and on. Thank you so much, Kevin. I hope you have a great rest of the night. I hope you enjoy whatever food you're going to get. I hope you come back on tomorrow, Kev. And yeah, hope you have a great night, mate. Thank you, mate. Pressure is on Newcastle to make the kind of signings that would match Isak's ambition. Yep, it is. It's all right keeping Isak. They've got to show them now they want to progress. And I think Newcastle can do that. I think Newcastle can progress. I think they've got the ability. I think they've got the club to do it. I think they've got the fans to do it. I think they've got a good club there, got a good project going on. Obviously, won the Carabao Cup. We know about that. And I think they can build something, but they've got to show that. Because the last time they got Champions League, they was out of it next season. They can't do that again. If they want to get Champions League and they want to show that they are progressing and getting better and better, they've got to get Champions League again. They've got to find sustainable Champions League qualifications. And with potential top 5 every year, potentially, that's if England do well, English teams do well. There's a potential for top 5 every year. There's a possibility for Newcastle to do that. If not, they've got to get top 4. It's up to Newcastle. If they want to keep Isak, they've got to show ambition to do that then. Exactly the same with us, though. Exactly the same with us. When we had Van Dijk and Salah potentially running their contracts out and going, we had to show them in those contract talks, say, look, this summer is going to be this summer actually going to back Arne Slot and we want to go again. And it's finally showing. It's finally showing. I think that's maybe a big reason why Salah and Van Dijk stayed in the end, because they've always wanted to do better. They've always wanted to build on that. Van Dijk has come out many times asking for signings. He shouldn't have to do that. I think this season it's finally doing it, and I think part of those contract talks with that. I think Newcastle have to do the same with Isak. That has to be part of the contract talks between Isak and Newcastle. We're gonna improve. We're gonna make sure we put money behind the team to go and get Champions League again. Or do well in Champions League, do well in the league, do better in the league, and they need to prove it to him. Diaz's decision is if he goes to Saudi on big wages and stays running contract down on good wages, but gets to play in Europe, still Barca let him down and won't pay him the fee. It's up to him, really. Diaz, it's up to him. If he wants to stay, he can stay. And I think that's what will probably happen. If he does stay, I think he'll stay for 2 years and let his contract run down. Because, like I said, I don't think Barcelona will be coming back for me. Striker and centre back is priority, or I fear I will prove difficult to retain the league without them. Like I said, we don't want to be left short again. He's done very, very good so far. We've done brilliantly so far. Frimpong, Kerkez, Wirtz, unbelievable signings. But like Jen said earlier, we can't stop there. We can't stop at this because we need a striker. We need a centre back at least. Like I said, I still want a DM. Angelo Stiller, hopefully. But I don't think that's going to be the case. But yeah, we can't be left short. We can't. Diaz may have to go to Saudi if he wants massive wages. Isak is a transition striker, need a striker good against low blocks, nimble and quick. I think with Isak, though, I think he's good enough. He's that complete of a player. I think he can play multiple ways. Isak's a player that can come back and receive the ball, link up with whoever's behind him or the wings. But I also think he can get in behind the defence as well. And not only that, it can not only link up, it can get the ball from deep and drive at players. Isak's so good at doing quite a lot of things. I think he'd be a perfect striker for us. But that's why I think Ekitike is more of number 2 than like a Gyökeres, for example. Gyökeres is the kind of guy that just gets in the box, gets in behind players, gets in behind strikers, and gets a shot off. Ekitike likes to come back a little bit more and link up with players as well. So he's much more like the profile of Isak. He's just not Isak. That's the only issue. But he has got bags of potential, Ekitike. I've always said that. Bags of potential. I'd rather him come in with someone else. And if Ekitike was the guy that's come in, I want Jota out and Nunez out and bring Ekitike with someone else. Because I can't rely on Jota staying fit. That's what I would do. There was a little report actually on Tyler Diblin earlier about Crystal Palace wanting to rival Newcastle, Liverpool and Tottenham to sign Tyler Diblin. I can't remember what would the reported price that Southampton were asking for Diblin. Was it like £80 million or something before? Like a few months ago now. I can't think what it was. About £80 million, wasn't it? 80 to £100 million it was. Southampton reported to be asking for Tyler Diblin. And he's a brilliant player. Again, bags potential. But there's no way Southampton's getting that sort of money for a player like that. Not a chance. Not winning the Championship now. Not a chance. I think the only way Tyler Diblin goes if Southampton are willing to accept 40 million. And that's half of what they're asking for. So for me, I can see, unless Southampton really drop off massively in terms of what they're asking for Diblin, I can't see him leaving Southampton. But then again, is he happy to play Championship football? He's still a young lad though, so he's got plenty of time to make those big moves. So another year in Championship is not bad at all. It's a very, very competitive league. It gets you playing games. It gets you playing games at an high level, and it also it grows players. You've seen how much the Championship is important for player growth. You've seen how Elliott went to Blackburn and did well and come back and was the player that he is. It's so important for young players to play in a team that's in the Championship or like a lower Premier League type team for just sheer getting used to the football, getting used to playing with good level players. Championships, it seems like a big drop off, but still, it's one of the best leagues in the world in terms of quality, in terms of competitiveness. There's not many leagues, you go back, La Liga, you go back to like, even, I'd say it's on par, if I'm honest, it says on par with like Belgian league, maybe better. And that's for me, one of the top European countries in terms of where talent comes from as well. Like you got your Dutch league, you got your Portuguese league. I said Championship just under that. That's how good the Championship is. Very, very competitive. So for me, I think Tyler Diblin, for his sake, I think he'd probably better to stay at Southampton for a season, especially when they're outpriced him and move, than move on so quick. I think he needs maybe another year, certainly. Diblin still has plenty to improve on. No way he's an £100 million player. Exactly, Malcolm. It's not, no way. And this is why they're never going to get that sort of money. But if they put that price tag in him already, that was on reports, by the way. I don't know if that is absolutely true. But if they're putting that sort of price on him, then he's got absolutely no chance of leaving unless he pushes. But like I said, for Tyler Diblin, I think for him, I'd play a year in Championship, at least a year. And then I'll say if Southampton don't go up, then he has every right to ask for a move. But if he comes back up with Southampton, then why not stay there for another couple of years at least? FSG must do everything possible to retain Ubu, and Guehi can't afford to lose any more defenders. It would be absolutely criminal, said Danilo. Yeah, it'd be a very dangerous game to play, mate. It'd be a very dangerous game to play if we were to lose Ubu and we didn't get a defender in. It'd be very dangerous. And I don't like this going into the season with 3 centre-backs again. It just reminds me of 2021 when we waited for Konate. And I get we waited for Konate, which, we did right for waiting for Konate, but we still should have brought a defender in. Because that's what happened there then, is we got injuries to the only injury that was not expected. When we cry about injuries that season, about the injury crisis that we had. We cry about it. The only injury that was unexpected was Van Dijk's. That was a freak injury. Matip and Gomez were expected to be injured at some point. So we couldn't cry about those injuries. We know they were injury prone. Exactly the same now going into this season. We can't go into the season with Konate, Van Dijk and Gomez being our three centre-backs. So Konate only got a little injury last week. I don't think he's fully injury prone, but Gomez had a big length out again last season. We need some more depth, whether we like it or not. Whether we get Guehi or not, we need some more depth. Whether we're waiting for Guehi to next season for get him for free or not, we need some more depth. We can't make that same mistake again. I'm not writing off said red goals, but I'm not quite sure Ekitike is quite good enough for Liverpool. I need to see more to do it consistently at a high level. It's a big risk in it, Ekitike. That's the thing. He's a good lad. He's a good player. I think he's got bad potential. But what thing was Ekitike? If you watch Ekitike, I've watched him in a few games actually. mainly Europe, and also when I have watched Bundesliga games when at times, what I've seen from Ekitike is very, very inconsistent. But then he's a young lad. One game he'd be unbelievable, and the next game is absolutely is atrocious. Like there's no in between with him. And I think, to get someone like that as a project player to be the main guy is a big risk. And especially the money that Frankfurt are asking for, it's even a bigger risk. I don't think we pay that sort of money for Ekitike. I don't think anyone pays that sort of money for Ekitike. Again, like most clubs every club right now is massively overpriced in players, and that's because of the market, the way the market's gone, the inflation's gone, the way players have been overpriced and overpaid for in the past. I've always said every player, bar maybe like 2-3% of players now are not overpriced. Every player in world football near enough is overpriced at the time. And this it is. I can imagine it being annoying, being a negotiator, being someone that's in charge of a football team, or being someone like a Richard Hughes or Michael Edwards. It is annoying, but that's the way football is. But then again, football clubs are making 10 times, 20 times more than what they used to make as well. So it's all gone up together. It's not like the English national wages. Like everything else goes up around it, but the wages go up slightly. Literally, in terms of football, not only the wages and the transfer fees have gone up, everything that football clubs make has gone up with it. So really, if you think about it, it's not as bad as what it can be made out as. £100 million for who, Mark? Is that for Diblin or Ekitike? Maybe if Liverpool fail with Isak, they may not buy a striker. That's a possibility, Mark. That is a possibility. That is a possibility, mate. That really is. I think there was a report the other day with Paul Joyce saying that if we don't get the striker that we want, then basically we're not just going to force get a striker because we've sold someone. That's what we've reported. I don't know how to feel about that. I sort of get it, but it's a. What I would do, I would get. I know it's like getting anyone, but I would certainly get someone that's got bags of potential still. If it's Ekitike, hear me out here on Ekitike. If we were to get an Ekitike, I think we still need to go get Isak next season. Because I think Ekitike is obviously a project and is still young, still got bad potential to get there. But if Isak is number one and Isak isn't available now, but we definitely can get him next season, then I'll happily take Ekitike. But I don't want to take Ekitike now and have Ekitike and Jota as our options up front and hope Ekitike just hits the ground running. I don't think I want a player that hits the ground running, and Isak for me is guaranteed that. That's the difference. It'd be interesting. But then again, you asked me a question, would I rather Ekitike or no one? Again, that's a tricky one as well, If I'm honest, I'd rather Ekitike. Like I said, and then get like an Isak next season and let Jota go then. It all depends on Jota, I'll happily have Ekitike if Jota's reliable again. If Jota stays injury-free as much as he can, and not only when he's injury-free, Bags is the Jota that we're used to seeing before this season, then I'll happily have Ekitike and Jota's options. But because of what Jota showed me last season, not being fit as per, but when he was fit, he was poor. That's the issue. If Jota shows more reliability in terms of fitness, but also when he's playing, he's good, then Ekitike and Jota's not bad options up front. That's why an Isak would be better, because Isak's reliable. Obviously, he has a couple of injuries, but he's reliable in getting goals. You guarantee goals with him. Isak is dependent on if he says he wants to leave. If he does, then I'd let him go. Elliott plus 80 million. I mean, Elliott has done unbelievable to certainly rise his price, and he'll have everyone around you. He'll have clubs around Europe raising their eyebrows. Harvey Elliott, I've said it for a long, long time. Harvey Elliott is one of our best technical players, and he's very, very underrated by a lot of people. I remember doing a stream for LFC Transfer Room about 5 years ago. Honestly, no, must be 4 years ago, We talk about Jones and Elliott, and I said Elliott has got more potential than Jones. And at the time, it was a big debate between them both. I said Elliott's got way more potential than Jones. It's just a shame of Elliott. He might not suit slot. That's a shame. But I think he will suit a very good team. He's too good. He's too technically good to not suit a good team. Big and serious in the real world, how much would it cost to retain a Colossus with Ibu abilities made from Prem and already proven and can get better? Please make it make sense. It's an issue, ain't Dandino? It is like we need to do all we can to get Ibu to sign. And I'm not saying if he is asking for 200k, I'm not saying he is because he's already rubbish reports online. If it is on 200k, I don't personally agree with 200k because of his injuries. If he didn't have a bad injury record, I think 200k is fine for a centre back that's going to be our main guy when Van Dijk goes. I would go 160, 170 personally, K a week for Ibu. We've got to keep him. We've got to keep him for me. He's absolutely fantastic. And we've said it a few times, the first 2-3 months of this season, Konate was better than Van Dijk. He was absolutely sensational. Also, Kwanzaa played start of the first game against Ipswich, got brought off at half-time. Ibu came on, and Ibu was sensational for 2-3 months. He was one of our best players for 2-3 months. It was absolutely fantastic. And if that Ibu is here this season, then I'll be absolutely delighted. That's the Ibu I want to see. He's absolutely fantastic to Konate. But if Guehi comes in as well, I think that's perfect. And I said like last night when we were talking about formations and tactics, I think there's some games where we can happily play Van Dijk, Guehi, and Konate as a free centre-back pairing and let everyone else do the thing. And you know what that'll do as well? Playing three centre-backs, those three solid centre-backs, that will get the best out of Gravenberch. Because he won't need to be as defensive. He won't need to have as many defensive responsibilities. He'll still do his defense, but midfielders do that. I play midfield. I know exactly what defensive responsibilities you've got to have, but he doesn't need to worry about that space as much. When you've got three centre backs there, they can cover pretty much everything in that area. Then you got your two wing backs in Kerkez and Frimpong potentially. I think that would work fantastically. I do. I really do. I think that worked fantastically in certain games, and I'd be excited to see that. I just want to see Gravenberch to let some. I think we need to let the reins off Gravenberch a little bit. And I think him being a DM is not letting the reins off him a little bit because he is absolutely fantastic going forward, and we haven't seen it as much because we've held him back a little bit. Red Goal said, if you're saying Nick Walter made, he's going to Bayern Munich, mate. I think. Yeah, Mark said there's agreed Bayern Munich deal. Yeah, he's going to Bayern Munich, mate. He's going to Bayern Munich. I think he's good, but he's not the Stuttgart player I'd look at. Yeah, I'd be looking at Angelo Stiller for me personally. I don't want to lose him. I don't want to lose Konate, but I'm getting Trent vibes from this situation. Has Konate any intention to extend? It's a tricky one, ain't it, Tony? I don't know. It's really absolutely solid coming out, but Konate has actually rubbished down things that I've seen online as well. He said, don't believe what I'm not asking for what people are saying online or, the journalists that are saying. And Ibu don't seem like Trent. Trent also has got a big ego. Ibu seems quite humble and he seems quite down to earth. But I hope it's not like a Trent. I hope it's not. I hope it doesn't go for free and go to like a Real Madrid. I'll be so annoyed. I can't stand Real Madrid. Can't stand them. It is frustrating. Now I would need Konate to stay for me. Be very, very important because I think with Konate, he'd be taking a step backwards. If he went, he'd be taking a step backwards, and we don't want to do that. We do not want to do that. We've got to build on what we've just won, and that is getting rid of players that we're not going to be using. But Konate is clearly in the plans. He's clearly a first teamer. We can't lose in first team players in the position that we are now. Premier League champions. Premier League champions losing first team players is mad. Because they want to play somewhere else. That's mad. But it's a situation that we're in, isn't it? And it does need sorting. Like I said, if you had to choose between Konate and Diaz to stay, I'd choose Konate every day of the week. But it's it's a tricky situation, unfortunately. Hopefully, we do get them sorted and we do sign on both players if I can. And then Marc Guehi, for me, I think will be the one that to come in next. It looks more likely, guys. It looks more likely that is Marc Guehi is going to be the next signing. But I think, like I said, we're going to concentrate on sales. We need to push that Nunez fee down. We can't ask that much from Nunez because they're not going to pay that. Concentrate on the sales. I think we'll get a lot more now for Elliott after his tournament in the 21s Euros. So it's an interesting one. Yeah, thank you for watching tonight anyway, guys. We're back again tomorrow morning for the Morning Red show. Stu's back in the morning, so that'll be about 10, half 10, I think. I'm going to set it up after the stream for Stu. So yeah, make sure you do tune into that in the morning. Hope you have all a great rest of the great night on the Sunday night. And hope you have a good Monday. I know Monday is one of the worst days of the week, but I hope you all have a great Monday, and I'll speak to you all tomorrow night, guys. Make sure you do hit that like button as well on the way out if you like this sort of content. Also, subscribe to the channel if you are new as well. 776 subscribers now. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you everyone for watching tonight. Thank you everyone for subscribing and liking the videos. And I appreciate you guys in the chat as well. You guys have been brilliant in the chat tonight.